Banjo Dan here with another installment of the Eclectic Banjo. I'd like to introduce two minuets played in a clawhammer style. Stick around afterwards for some background on my arranging of these pieces. I became familiar with these minuets in John Bullard's booklet, Bach on the Banjo, some years ago. I puttered out on learning the fingerstyle versions of these tabs just due to a lack of interest, and so I put it on the back burner. Fast forward a few years later, and I had the inspiration to arrange a classical clawhammer piece, mainly just to see if I could do it. Now let me be the first to say, classical clawhammer music is virtually non-existent on the internet. Consider the following deterrents. First, unless a piece is arranged entirely of quarter notes, followed by two eighth-note pair patterns, use of the bum ditty doesn't easily fit in classical style melodies. Second, since the clawhammer motion is a combination of finger and thumb strikes, drop thumbing typically requires an arpeggio run from high to low pitches. Third, the concept of double thumbing as a drone note filler adds unnecessary clutter to an otherwise mellifluous classical piece. Fourth, although fairly easy to link notes that are seconds of each other through a slur, such as a hammer-on, pull-off, or slide, the net effect can further muddle the sound of a cohesive classical composition. Fifth and finally, slower pieces such as andantes and adagio tempos sound horrible with the clawhammer style. For such reasons, it is not surprising that there are very few examples of classical clawhammer pieces on YouTube. One needs to do a little bit of arranger magic if one is to succeed in this ambitious venture. This opens one up to several creative interpretation possibilities, though. Replicating a piece as written may be more difficult to fit the Clawhammer style, but can be accomplished depending on the tempo. Another approach is following in the steps of bluegrass banjo players who add drone and filler notes to melody lines for their fiddle tunes. A Clawhammer arrangement can add chord strums and drone notes as well. To fit certain picking patterns, such as drop thumbing, one can change the order in which an arpeggio run of notes fall as well, in order to make the execution easier. The bum ditty can be interjected where 2 quarter notes would otherwise exist by changing them to quarter notes followed by 2 eighth note pair patterns. For such alterations, I decided I would want simple pieces that were fairly recognizable. Enter the minuets. In short, I learned a lot from my experience with these pieces and may or may not continue experimenting with Clawhammer and classical music in the future. Well, that about does it for this installment of the Eclectic Banjo. I'll see you next time.